As this is being set up, in a few moments you're going to hear from Bishop, got to get the right bishop, Perez. Bishop Nelson Perez, who's going to speak to us a little bit about Catholic Charities. And I know many of you have already given through the mail, and we'll be giving an opportunity after you see a little more of what Charity's done. But before that, I want to just briefly touch on the Scripture, especially the Gospel. You know, we can look at that Gospel and take it for granted. It's good that it happened in that way. Jesus called those disciples, and then they began to follow. But what if it had been a different scenario? What if when Jesus said, you know, go out into the deep and cast your net? What if Peter would have said, hey, we've been doing this all night long. We're not going out there. You're a carpenter. You don't know that much. We're the fishermen. Forget it. And take his buddies and go elsewhere because they didn't want to deal with this guy. What if it had happened that way? And yet we know it didn't, that Peter ultimately trusted in the Lord. And from another scenario, what if when Peter said, Lord, get away from me, I'm a sinful man. And if Jesus would have said, yeah, I can see that clearly. You're a sinful man. You're not very good. You won't listen to me. I'm not going to let you be one of my disciples. I'm going to go to another town to find somebody better, somebody less sinful, somebody more perfect. So long, you blew it. Well, again, thankfully, Jesus didn't say that. And the point to be made there is when Jesus saw, clearly he was aware of his calling of his disciples, that they were sinners, they were far from perfect, but that wasn't a disqualifier. Because Jesus wanted to reach out and touch people who were falling short of the mark and work through them. Because again, their role as disciples wasn't so much to proclaim how great they were, but to proclaim how great God was. And from the very beginning, and this is important for all of us, our 2 points 2,000 years later. One, we're called to trust God wherever he leads us, even if he leads us out into the deep of our daily life circumstances. And two, we're called to know that the Lord knows us through and through, but none of us are disqualified for being his disciples. He wants each of us in our daily life to be just that, to bring to the world God's mercy that first of all we know we need and we share it. So with that, now we're going to transition into seeing the video on Catholic Charities. In a way, this is another call for us 2,000 years later to be Jesus' disciples and to make a difference in the lives of others through the love we share.